Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Kerryoff and this is Civilization VI, and the footage in the background is just part of a nice little multiplayer game that I've started with Jan and William, and we're trying to get used to the game and get used to how it plays. I've already piled quite a few hours into the game, both by myself and in multiplayer games, and I have to admit that I wanted this to be like a full-on review. I wanted this to be the full-on review, or I wanted it to be the start of a new Let's Play series. But I'm going to be totally honest with you, I'm going to be totally blunt. I still don't quite get it, which is really bad because I should. It's not, I was going to say it's not that different. In a way, Civ 6 is just as much a Civ game as Civ 5 was. In fact, in many respects, I would argue that it's considerably better, but it is also considerably different. And Civ 5, you know, we've been playing that game for years and years and years. And you do get kind of set into what you do. You get set in your approaches, set in the way that you tackle the game each time. And I am very much guilty of being that kind of person where they find something that works for them, and then they do it. And they just do it every time. And there's very little variation in the way I play, which is obviously a weakness in many ways, because if things don't go to plan, then I'm ruined, because I'm so used to doing it in a certain way. You do this at a certain time, you do that at a certain time, you're always aiming for this kind of victory, all that kind of thing. And as a result, Civ 6 is like, it's like trying to read an alien language for me. First of all, my old tactic, and in fact I believe everyone's old tactic, let's be absolutely honest here, of just piling out buildings in every city. Because there's no reason not to, really. Every building that you made had an overall effect on your civilization. It had an overall effect on your empire. If you wanted to build a market in every single city, well, you pretty much had to build a market in every single city because you wanted the gold income, didn't you? You wanted to build culture boosting stuff in every city. Really, you wanted to build like production increasing stuff in every city as well, so that you could then build more stuff in the city. There was no real downside to just making every single city rammed full of every building that it could possibly be rammed full of. Provided you weren't losing gold per turn due to maintenance costs, it really didn't matter. You just kept building and building and building. Cannot do that in Civ 6. That's not an option. Because of the new district system, which I really like, by the way, cities kind of have to be focused on 1, 2, maybe 3 things at a push. And you cannot just sit there and slam down districts all over the place, because it's massively inefficient. It doesn't work very well. You know, there's bonuses for being adjacent to district, all this kind of stuff. It's that aspect of it alone is so different to Civ 5 that I'm still at the point where I'm trying to work out what is the best combination for districts for different cities. Like, where do I want the culture district to be? Do I want it in that city? Do I want it in a city over there? Do I want to, you know, combine that with something else? Or it's just so complex compared to what it was before. Similar thing, Wonders. I am very guilty of being that person in multiplayer games who is just a right pain in the arse, because I just love building all the wonders. All of them. Doesn't matter what they do. I'm like, I love that. Terrible way to do it. Don't do that. That's a stupid way to play. Don't even have that option. Not even a thing you can do in Civ 6, really, because each of the wonders have got specific prerequisites, and they take up a tile around the city as well. That system of actually having, you know, tiles around the city where you have to place things down really makes a huge difference to the game. I think it makes it far more sensible, and it makes you think a lot more about what you're doing with each of your cities. I really like that, but goddamn, it feels more complicated just through that alone. And that's not even the half of it. I mean, look at happiness. Before, happiness was just a global thing. You know, you were either happy or you were unhappy. I mean, you could also be, I guess, neutral, where you had 0 happiness, but you weren't unhappy. But that system's changed completely as well. That's now the amenities, however you want to pronounce it. Different system altogether, which really, you know, just confused the hell out of me. The envoy system as well. I mean, in the game that's running in the background, at one point I managed to get 3 envoys to a city-state. Unfortunately, that city-state was being attacked by England. I still don't know whether it's going to survive that attack. I hope it does. But that is a system that, again, not really present in Civ 5. I will say that the graphic style as well, I really like it. Totally different. Again, it's such a departure from Civ 5, and I'm referring back to Civ 5 every time just because that is, well, we don't count Beyond Earth. Civ 5 is the Civ game that we've all been playing for the last God knows how long. At least that, in my case, that's what it is, and that's my frame of reference. You know, that is the Civ game I've piled more time into than a hell of a lot of the games I own. So Civ 5 will always be my go-to reference with comparisons to Civ 6, which I think makes sense. They're also the closest to each other in terms of where they take place and, you know, the systems that they have, because Beyond Earth was it was different again, just not in a positive way. It was very much in a what the hell is this? This isn't a Civ game if you ask me sort of way. But yeah, so Civ 6, so far, I mean, the first impressions are really good. I am really enjoying it. It's more interesting to me than Civ 5 has become, at the very least. There are certain aspects of it, like the culture and stuff is now totally different. Like you've got like a second tech tree that have got policies, and you can enact policies, and you can enact different forms of government. That adds a whole new aspect to it that I really, really enjoy. I think that adds a significant amount of depth as well, because it feels somehow more fulfilling in a way than the previous system that you had in Civ 5, whereby you just accumulated culture and then you spent culture, and that was it. Now there's a research element to it. You've got these different tech trees branching out. It's not quite as, I don't know. It seems to flow better for me than the previous system did, and I think it's a very good addition to the game. It's like an extra layer of complexity. I really, really like the system with builders. I was, again, one of these terrible people where I just got builders and then I'd set them doing what I wanted them to do for all of about 10 turns, and then I get, fuck it. And then I just put them on auto improvement, where they just go around and build whatever the hell they built. Most of the time, stuff you didn't even want, I tended to find. Like, I suddenly find that one of my cities was populated entirely with trading posts, even though it was on production focus. I had that happen once, that was interesting. Also, building roads across the globe to meet up with allies. That was another thing that tended to be quite interesting, that builders did, or workers did, in Civ 5, which could probably do without that, could probably do without. But the system in Civ 6, whereby, you create the builders and then you put them over a tile, you build an improvement, they've got 3 charges, and then once you've used them 3 times, they're gone. Except for demolishing. I don't think demolishing counts as a use. I think it's only building improvements that it counts as a use. So you start with 3, and then the builder can do 3 things, and then the builder disappears. I actually really like that system, because it kind of forces you to keep on top of what is going on in your city, and I think it also makes it so that it's a bit less fire and forget, and there's an actual consequence to building builders now. Right? I didn't feel like there was in Civ 5 a lot of the time. It was just, you churned out a few, then you waited until you had a little bit of downtime. Maybe you don't have as many buildings that you need to slam down, and then you build another one. You didn't really have to think about it. Now it feels like it actually has an impact on what your city is doing. Yes, you can still buy them with gold, but early on in the game, you need to make a choice, and you did in Civ 5. But once those workers were out, you could just leave them doing whatever the hell they wanted, pretty much for eternity. You cannot do that in Civ 6, and I do like that aspect of it as well. I think my kind of first impressions of the game are almost entirely positive. I'm just having that thing of not quite knowing what I'm doing yet. It's really enjoyable. It's really fun. It feels very polished as well. There's a few things that seem a little bit off. One of them is the inability to play as a team in multiplayer. I'd like that to be implemented. That can apparently be implemented due to, through editing. I think it's an LUA file or something. It's not actually technically in the game, which is a little bit disappointing. And the AI, I have to admit, little bit screwy to say the least. Kind of balked. They seem to have massive mood swings. You had funny things in Civ 5 where You know, someone would be all in awe of you, and then they'd just suddenly denounce you for no reason, or you know, someone would declare war, and you're like, why the hell have they declared war? And then they sue for peace a couple of turns later. That would happen. It happens a hell of a lot in Civ 6. It happens an insane amount. I had a really good thing going with, I think it was France and Germany. Good friends of mine. They were supporters of old Kiri's empire. They like my work. Until one turn, one of them declared war on me. And then the next turn, the other one declared war on me. And then they declared war on each other, which was really odd, since they'd had very little in the way of interaction from what I could see. And over the course of the next sort of, I think it was probably about 20 turns, because I went hard after France, because I was like, I'm not having this. I started getting denounced by every other Civ for being a warmonger, for fighting back France. I did take one of their cities, admittedly, but I took one of their cities because it was one of my cities that they'd already taken, and then I just started getting denounced all across the board. And I think it was Rome? No, it was England, because I wasn't playing as England. I know, shameful. It was England declared war on me from literally all the way across the map. No interaction with England whatsoever. It's very, very weird, and you know, you have these weird instances of spearmen that have not been upgraded, just going full tilt into a squadron of tanks, and just, you know, just properly going for it. I think they really need to do some serious tweaking for the AI, because it's just too unpredictable, but not in a good way. You know, you don't want to be sitting there thinking, oh god, the AI has settled a city like 10 tiles away. When are they going to declare war? What are they going to do? You want to be able to actually have some sort of plan of action that isn't thrown completely into disarray by the fact that one of the AI just loses their shit and decides you're the worst person in the world, even though you've never spoken to them before and you've only just met them. Like, I got denounced by Egypt in the last game that I had with Jan and William for no reason. I met her. It literally was a case of, I met her, she said hello to me, and then she denounced me the next turn. And it's like, okay, why? Why did you do that? Apparently, it's because I didn't have enough military. But I don't understand exactly why the AI would, you know, maybe 25 turns into a game, just go ape shit and be like, no, fuck you, denounced. It's a bit screwy. And it's a shame, because everything else feels really good. There are improvements to the map that I really like. The UI as a whole is nice and easy to navigate. But the AI, it lets it down. So, I don't know. I would recommend getting it at this point, even this early, even though this is only sort of first impressions and it's not a full review or anything like that. I still need more time with the game to really nail down a full, proper kind of pros and cons list. But overall at the moment, it does feel polished. The AI is janky. I'm not going to make any sort of assertion otherwise. It is definitely a bit janky. It doesn't feel like Civ 5 felt when Civ 5 launched, because Civ 5, when it launched, was a bit lacking. Civ 6 doesn't feel lacking. Civ 6 actually feels like a complete package, a complete game, which is really, really good, and it's already really enjoyable to play. Just as I say, it's going to take some serious getting used to, because it is such a departure from Civilization V that it's going to take some time. But I'm keen to do it. Like, I want to keep playing it. In fact, once I finish recording this video, well, once I've edited it and all that, I'm going to be going back to play it again, because it is just that much fun. And really, that's all you need, isn't it? You just need it to be loads of fun. And it is. It really is. So there you go. That is kind of what I'm thinking about Civ 6 at the moment. There'll probably be another video to follow, I'd say next week sometime, with a sort of more, I guess, in-depth look at it, and a few of the things that I've noticed with playing it more. Overall, pretty damn positive. I hope you're enjoying it as well if you're playing it. If you're not, then I'd suggest taking a look at it. But what do you think anyway? What is your comparison to Civ 5? If Civ 5 was your favourite, if Civ 4 was or anything, then obviously don't compare it to Civ 5, compare it to that. But what do you reckon of it? Do you think it's a good launch? Do you think they've done it right this time? Do you think there's anything missing that you'd have liked to see, or do you think they've pretty much given you what you were hoping to get out of the game? I'll be interested to see what you think. So leave the comments below. I always read them, you know that, and I will see you next time. Toodaloo.